Okay, we are live.
So good evening, everyone. Welcome to Community Board 10's January 24th, 2022 full board meeting. We are doing this via Zoom again. And I would like to start the meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance. Josephine.
Oops, sorry about that,
Put up the graphic of the flag.
Okay, here we are.
I will start the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to just at this point, I know we usually move on to the adoption of the agenda, but I would like to just take a moment of silence for Police Officer Jason Rivera, who died in the line of duty, and Police Officer Wilbur Mora, who is in critical condition. I hope that, they know that our prayers and the prayers of the whole city are with them and their families. I'd like to now call for an adoption of the agenda.
It's Joe, adopted.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
I see I've got Dean and Sandy, seconds, third, Stevens, fourth. Okay. I'd like to call for an adoption of the minutes, please.
So moved.
I've got Sandy, Joe, thank you. And now I'll move on to the public session. I would like to first, actually, I see that we have Councilwoman Aviles here. And if you would like to speak during public session, we'd love to hear from you. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Well, I was going to say welcome. Welcome to me, to CB10.
Sure.
Good to see you all. Good to meet you. Thank you, Chair Willis, and also to the district manager, Ms. Beckman. Thank you for getting me coordinated and getting me here. My name is Alexa Aviles. I'm the new council member for District 38. Of which we share a small portion where it's overlapped with CB10. The lion's share of our community boards are actually CB7, and we touch a couple of others. So you are on the most southern part of our district. Happy to be your neighbor. Happy to be in partnership with Councilmember Brennan, who I know holds probably the most of CB10. Our office remains where the former council member was, 4417 4th Avenue, which is on 4th Avenue and 45th Street. So we welcome you all. We have been open since January 3rd, despite not having emails and fax machines that didn't work. We have been seeing constituents every day since then. Happy to report probably about 200 constituents we've seen in the past 2 weeks. Now 3 weeks going, we're fully staffed, and we'll be making announcements around all of our incredible staff members. You can reach us, and I'll put this in the chat for everyone, at District 38 at council.nyc.gov. Our telephone number is 718-439-9012. And I guess I'll just say shortly, I look forward to working with you all. I have actually reviewed some of your committee meetings. So in fact, I feel like I see some faces I recognize. And there's much work to do in the community. We have certainly over the past couple of weeks been working on COVID recovery, the school return, shortages in testing, and trying to bring more robust testing to the community. We've been working on last mile warehouses, which is a major issue in our district, waterfront issues, housing, emergency rental assistance, which has been quite significant. Excluded workers fund, there's been an enormous amount of fraud happening throughout the community. So supporting residents to really get relief. and really so much more. So I look forward to continued working. And again, our office is open and we're eager to partner with you all on matters large and small. And I believe maybe our chief of staff might be on this evening. His name is Edward Cerna. And it's really a pleasure. Edward comes to us from the former mayor's office of community affairs and brings a real wealth of knowledge around issues across the city. So happy to answer any questions, and thank you so much for having me tonight.
Thank you so much. And yes, we do know Edward. He's been at many of our meetings, and we're happy that you brought him on. I am very happy to introduce at our meeting this evening our new borough president, who I had the opportunity to meet remotely at our borough board meeting. And I'm so happy to have him here, Antonio Reynoso.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Really appreciate being here. Very excited. It's been a fun 3 weeks, to say the least. I'm like truly in love with the work that's happening in Brooklyn, and really looking forward to make sure that I could cheerlead across the borough and challenge Marty Markowitz on his Mr. Brooklyn title. That's a goal that I'm pushing for. I just want to say to the community board, I have very high expectations that I'm going to be setting for our community boards. But with that will come resources. So I'll make sure that whatever you might need, you receive when we talk about work related to education, to land use, work that I hope this community board is excited about. We are also going to be doing professional development work. So we're looking to see if we can inform and educate community board members on issues that they might not necessarily be the experts on, like education, transportation, and land use. I told myself every single day that I would be a better council member than the day before while I was on the city council representing Williamsburg and Bushwick. And I felt like I was learning all the way to the end. And I always think learning is like an important growth process that folks should be a part of. So please don't take it as a slight. I'm not saying that you guys are uneducated or don't need professional development. It's just simply hoping that you guys are open to more opportunities for growth, so that when folks do come in and talk about things that they believe they're experts in, you guys get to challenge that in a real meaningful way and with information and data. So I want to make sure that that's something that I can offer as well. It's been a funny 3 weeks. While I am extremely excited and happy, the mayor of the city of New York has taken about 50 staff members. So he's left me with about 10% of the staff here at Borough Hall. So we're taking a little bit of time to ramp up. We got to do 50 hires in here over the next month. So just be patient with us while we start getting things rolling. We just put out the applications for the community boards. So please, if you are a member now and want to resubmit, please go on our website. The form has changed quite a bit. There's new things on it. We're trying to get as much information from our members about who they are, where they come from, and so forth, just to be able to use demographics and data and information to get a really good understanding of what each community board looks like. And lastly is we're looking to do something called comprehensive planning, which is kind of asking the community what its needs are and where it sees potential for growth. So whether it's better parks or more schools, better transportation, but also housing growth and economic development growth, and challenging the community board to have a process by which community members get to say where they think they can see growth in the future in an effort to contribute to the greater good that is the city of New York. But I believe that the communities should have some level of self-determination when it comes to where they see opportunities in their community, and not necessarily be told what to do by developer-driven interests. So I'm really excited about that as well. And I could go on for days, but I know you guys have a great meeting and a long meeting probably that you have to get to. This will not be the last time you see me. Hopefully the next time we will be in person, because we've gotten over this hump that is COVID. But I can't tell you how grateful and excited I am. And just want everybody not to forget to spread love, because it's the Brooklyn way. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Borough President Reynoso. And now we have Councilman Justin Brannan here.
Thank you, Lori. Good to see everybody. Happy New Year, everyone. I can't believe it's almost the end of January already. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. It's been a tough couple of weeks to start the year here. And, I think making our city safer and bringing an end to violence is going to require a comprehensive approach. And there's no magic wand, there's no single solution, but it is a shared responsibility. And it's going to take all levels of government coming together to do the work. And we're going to have to do it together. And I am certainly, as your local elected official, dedicated above all to making sure our community remains one of the safest neighborhoods in the city. But it takes a lot of work. It doesn't happen by accident. And a lot of that work comes from community leaders like you, folks who are invested in the community just out of the goodness of their heart, not here for the glory or the credit, certainly not here for the pay, because none of you guys get paid to do this, but you're here because you love this neighborhood, you love this community, and we're all partners in keeping our community safe. So I'm very excited to start my second term. Serving you and your families in the neighborhoods where I grew up is truly the privilege of a lifetime for me. Locally, Senator Gennardis and I worked together to bring another brick and mortar testing site to 86th Street in one of the vacant Century 21 storefronts. We don't have control. There's COVID testing sites popping up all over the place. The ones that we have control over and the ones that we can trust, entirely are the health and hospitals testing sites. So we were able to stand up another testing site on 86th Street to help cut down on the wait times and lines. And I think it's done a good job so far. I was also named chair of the council's finance committee. Its position is really an enormous responsibility. Gives me a huge amount of input on the city's budget process. And I'm going to use this post to fight for you. I've always said that New Yorkers pay a tremendous amount of taxes, and rightfully they expect to see tangible return on that investment. So as chairman of the finance committee, really my job is going to be to make sure we're spending wisely, safeguarding our city's financial future, and really fortifying the city's social safety net for New Yorkers that need it most. So it's great to be with all of you tonight. It's great to see everyone's face again. As always, my staff and I are here to help you. No issue is too big or too small. You know how to get us. Ask jb@council.nyc.gov. My office is on 86th Street and 3rd Avenue. My phone number is 718-748-5200. I look forward to working with everyone in the year to come. It's great to see our new borough president joining us, and my sister in government to the north, a newly elected councilwoman, Alexa Velis. It's great to see her giving some love to Community Board 10. And I really look forward to working together with her because there's no actual boundaries in the city. We're all one, no matter what our districts might say. So thank you all so much, and let's have a good meeting.
Thank you very much, Councilman Brannan. And now we move on to, I think David Sosa is here on behalf of Assembly Member Mitaneas.
Hey, yeah, good afternoon. My name is David. Good evening now, actually. My name is David Sosa. I'm a staffer with the Assembly member. She really wanted to be here tonight, but she is actually still in conference in Albany, so she can't hop on. Looks like it went on longer than expected. My dog Mello is sleeping on the couch behind me, so he might make an appearance throughout, but I'll keep it short. Our office is on 49th Street. I've included our 49th and 4th Avenue. I've included our contact information in the chat. I'll send that again. Our district covers some of CB10, but mostly Sunset Park, Red Hook, Windsor Terrace, parts of Borough Park as well. And if it's okay with everyone, she prepared a short slide deck. Is it okay if I share my screen really quick?
Josephine,
I hope that's
can you,
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
you're able to.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
Awesome.
Yes.
Let me do that right now. Go to presentation mode. All right. So the executive budget for fiscal year 23 was presented last week, and here are some things that we thought were noticeable with implications for the district. There was zero funding allocated for the emergency rental assistance program for the upcoming year, whereas last year the program paid more than $2 billion in rental arrears and utilities and utility arrears throughout the state. The eviction moratorium also expired on the 15th this month. So we know that there's folks who still haven't received any coverage for rent that was due, and so there will be a continued push for more funding for this program and other rent relief. There was also $0 proposed for the upcoming year for the Executive Workers Fund, whereas last year it allocated $2.1 billion throughout the state for folks who pay their taxes, but because of their immigration status, were unable to qualify for regular unemployment insurance. Our office assisted over 800, we assisted 804 applicants, which resulted in approximately $21 million for AD 51, a lot of which was invested right back into the community. But we know that there were still hundreds of thousands of people who applied who were not able to receive this fund because of a shortage of funds. So there will be a continued push to have this passed again this year. There is also noted assistance for homeowners who experienced financial hardship throughout the pandemic, because of the pandemic, through the Homeowner Assistance Fund, as well as a homeowner protection program. The budget also spoke about some small business relief, as well as seed funding for early stage businesses. What to expect? So last week, the governor released her executive budget for New York State. From now through early March, legislators will be in conference and discuss priorities. In mid-March, the One House budget gets published. In late March, what's called the three-way negotiations between the governor, Senate, Majority Leader, and the Assembly member and the Assembly speakers start. And then there's a constitutional deadline for the budget passing. That's April 1st. And lastly, I'll talk about the fireside chats that Marcella has been having since session started in an effort to increase greater transparency. What are our electeds doing? People can join. We've seen folks hop on and talk about priorities and sort of have her explain what she's up to. The next one is on the 30th at 5 p.m. And you can catch us. That'll be across social media platforms. And that's that. Thank you all for hearing me out.
Great, thank you so much. Next we have, I'm Basil Kapitanakis from Assemblymember Tanusis' office.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's Basil Kapitanakis. Nice to see you all again. The Assemblyman is in Albany right now. He wished he was here, but he would like to extend everyone a happy and healthy new year. And we have an announcement that our Brooklyn office just received at-home rapid tests. So I know that people in the district needed them, and we're going to set up a date from our Brooklyn office to have a distribution date. I'll put the address in the chat, and I'll also put our phone number. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have Libby Silber for Senator Andrew Gennardis. Or we don't, do we? Let me see, is she here?
I saw her.
Okay, all right, I'll circle back. We have Donald DeRosa from the New York City Comptroller's Office. Donald, would you like to say something?
No updates this evening, but stay tuned. I promise I'll go back to my long spiel shortly. Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Donald. We look forward to it. Okay, and let's see. And we have tonight with us also Frank Fontana from the New York City Department of Buildings. Frank, do you have any announcements this evening?
Hi, good evening. Yes, just a couple quick announcements. Sorry, just a couple quick announcements. I put two links in, I'm sorry, Frank Fontana from the Department of Buildings. Just want to congratulate the new elected officials. And just wish everybody a happy new year. I put my contact information in the chat box, as well as links to two things I'm going to share. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in my office. One is the homeowners relief program. I have mentioned in previous general board meetings. So essentially, DOB now allowing 1 and 2 family homes that do receive a violation, instead of receiving an actual violation, paying an oath penalty. What they're now doing is they're allowing issuing what's a corrective action report. So they're allowing the homeowners to make that repair within 60 days. If they do make that repair within 60 days, certified correction, we do waive the oath penalty. So that's something new, fairly new, that was released a few months ago. So it really helps out the 1 and 2 family homeowners. Anything that's a class 1, such as a legal conversion, will not qualify. And then secondly, there is a live Q&A session that DOB hosts every 2 weeks. And the live Q&A session is virtual. Anyone who's a member from the public, from the industry, can log on if you have any particular questions, anything related to building, zoning, certificate of occupancy, applications, anything related to the construction of the buildings department. You can log on and talk to a project advocate. It's from 2 to 3:30. The next 2 dates for Brooklyn and Staten Island are February 1st from 2 to 3:30, and then February 15th from 2 to 3:30. So I shared the links in the chat box. Again, the first links didn't work. The second one should, but if you have any questions, I'll be on and be able to answer anything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I like that information about the 1 and 2 family homeowners get a little time to cure your violation.
Yes.
Yes, so that's really good. Thank you for sharing that. And now we have with us Nancy Lulu from the Brooklyn DA's office.
Thank you, Laurie. Good evening, everyone.
Nancy.
Hope everyone's doing well. Hi, Laurie. First, I would like to extend greetings on behalf of District Attorney Eric Gonzalez to everyone. The DA's office is committed to protecting our Brooklyn communities. DA Gonzalez firmly believes that public safety is a shared commitment and a shared responsibility, like Councilman Justin Brannan stated earlier. Just a couple of announcements. On January 15, 2022, the Brooklyn DA's office, along with the NYPD, held a gun buyback event in Flatbush. Over 30 guns were turned in and are now off the streets of Brooklyn. It's a simple action that can help reduce the number of lethal weapons on our streets. And my deepest condolences go out to the officer that we just lost, and our prayers go out to the critical injured officers. So those gun buyback events are very necessary. One gun off the street is a win. So we need this. So DA Gonzalez is grateful to the NYPD, the Vanderbilt Park Church, and the 67 Precinct Council clergy, and the elected leaders and members of the community who made the event a success. The Brooklyn DA's office has been employing a multi-pronged strategy to bring down the level of gun violence in Brooklyn, focusing on the most violent individuals and building strong community partners. Also, as we commemorate Human Trafficking Prevention Month, I encourage you to learn the signs of human trafficking and how to report suspected incidents to our borough. Human trafficking is not just something that happens in other countries. It happens in our own backyards, and anyone could become a victim. To report suspected incidents or to get help, contact our human trafficking hotline at 718-250-2770. Also, please visit the Brooklyn DA's websites at brooklyndA.org, social media platforms to learn more about our releases, press releases, and the great work that we do. I would like to conclude with reminding everyone with our Action Center's phone number, something you would like to talk to us about. Please feel free to reach out to 718-250-2340. I would like to wish our Asian communities, friends, and neighbors a happy Lunar New Year. And as always, I would like to thank Community Board 10 for the outstanding work they always do. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak this evening. And I would like to congratulate all the elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. And now Jessica Callow, still from the Borough President's Office. Jessica, would you like to say a few words?
Hello. Well, yes. So as Borough President said, it's a new day at Borough Hall. So, but it is still community board reappointment time. And so my usual spiel is on the table right now. And community board applications are up on the new website. So if anyone had trouble accessing the website before, the website is up and running and the new applications are there. If anyone has already reapplied using the old application, that's not a problem. They will accept it and you don't have to refill out a new one. If you haven't done your application yet, use the new format. It's fantastic. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me. If you're not sure if we got it, you can always send me your confirmation or your screenshot or however you did. I know in the past, a lot of people had sent that to me. You're more than welcome to send that to me again. The typical deadline is usually February 14th. It's being extended to March 4th at 5 p.m. So it's a crunch between that and the expiration date of the terms, but we are going to make it. That is the goal. So we're very hopeful for that. If there's any questions, anyone can ask that. I'm here. You know that I'm here usually. So.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I also see that we have with us Anastasia Yaskova from the Mayor's Community Affairs Unit. I don't know if you'd like to speak. Just let me know.
Sure. I just would like to introduce myself. Hello, everybody. It's been like a little less than 3 weeks for me. I started, and again, just introductory speech. So don't throw questions at me as of yet. I'm new to all this, and hopefully, so we're building up a great team, and hopefully, we're here for you guys, whatever you need. Just any questions, and I'll share my information in the chat.
Thank you very much. We'll start off going easy on you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome. We're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay. I think that brings our public session to a close. I don't think anyone else has signed up, but if you did not sign up, if I have any elected officials or city agency representatives here that I missed, please let me know.
Yeah,
before
Lori, I
close
did
my
see
public session.
Donna from Assembly Member Matilda Frontis's office. She just wrote in the chat. I don't know, Donna, if you wanted to say anything.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Donna. I am the new community liaison for Assemblymember Frontis. I posted also in a chat that tomorrow there will be a giveaway of some of the test kits that we have that we just received. So tomorrow in front of the office in Bay Ridge at 310 93rd, we'll be giving them away between the hours of 3:30 and 4:30. And dependent upon how many we still have left over or how many more that we obtain, we'll make sure to do more giveaways. So again, my name is Donna. I'm from the Bay Ridge office, and it's nice to be here, and thank you for the time.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I am going to now close the public session and move on to the next item on our agenda, which would be the public hearing. And this is a continued hearing of an SLA liquor license application. So is Barbara Vellucci here? Is Barbara on mute?
Yeah, she's here. Yes, I saw her here. Barbara?
Let's see. Did we lose her? I think we lost
I think we
Barbara.
lost Barbara, yes.
Okay.
She was there.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, since this is the only item for the public hearing, we'll just wait until we get her back
Oh,
into
she
the
just
meeting.
popped back in.
Oh, did she? You see her, Dan?
She's in the panelists list.
Barbara, are you there?
There she is. Just got to unmute. There we go.
You see me now?
Yes.
Okay, I got thrown off, right? It just froze. I thought it was you and not me. So I had to go back to it. How are you?
Hi.
Good to see
Okay,
everyone.
so we are ready for the public hearing, the continued SLA liquor license application.
Okay, 1 second. This thing is jumping around. I'm back. Okay. Hopefully we'll still be here. If you lose me while I'm reading, just text me or something. I don't know. Okay, here we go.
Thanks.
So our meeting was on January 10th. There was an initial meeting with the attorney Neil Visacki, but he requested an adjournment. That was on December 6th. So on January 10th, we met with the owner, the general manager, and the chef. This is a request for a new application for liquor, beer, wine, and cider for Sexy by Nature Group, Inc. You'll see that the name on the storefront is SB10. So it is at 8121 Fifth Avenue. This is a new application, and this is a Japanese Latin fusion restaurant. Owner Angel Raul Berea, General Manager Mel Laureano, and Chef Joe Cordero were present. Attorney Neil Visacki was not present for this meeting. Mr. Laureano stated that this was his choice. The premise has a certificate of occupancy. It does not note the number of persons allowed, but 74 persons was written on the application. There were photos and a menu provided. They will not be outdoor dining. There will only be background recorded music. The application notes that the owner does not have any prior experience, but there is no adverse history associated with this address with the prior owners. Prior to our initial meeting in December, there were 5 phone calls and an email from members of the community objecting to this establishment. It was noted from their notices that sale of alcohol was being done since August without a license. There was loud music that was blasting and heard by the tenants and Miss Beckman, as the establishment is next door to the community board office. Also, considering that this is a residential neighborhood, we asked for an explanation for the choice of the name of Sexy by Nature. And SBM is what Mr. Laureano's band name was, Sexy by Nature. And this was chosen to honor the band member who passed away. We also brought out that on page 4 of the application, it was indicated that the New York Nightlife NYPD recommendations were reviewed, but that it did not indicate that they would follow the recommendations. Mr. Laureano said that this was a clerical error and that he would fix that. Ms. Beckman originally had spoken with the attorney about operating without the selling alcohol without a license. But we were informed by Mr. Laureano that this is not true, that the DJ music was blasting $5 shots, and that was a song. He also says that they are not selling alcohol, that there are frozen non-alcoholic drinks. So, since we didn't see the alcohol, we're taking him at his word, but we put it on the record, the reports that we had heard. We also talked about the music blasting through the walls, that this was unacceptable. Mr. Laureano stated that this is being corrected and they are working with the tenants and installing different speakers. We reminded him that background recorded music was played in the prior establishment And there was never a problem, but he assured us that he will continue to correct this issue. We informed the applicants that we were in possession of a photograph of someone in this establishment smoking hookah and of the hookah accoutrements on display. We told them that by New York City law, new hookah lounges or the use of hookah in unauthorized establishments is now illegal. On Yelp in December, we told him that this establishment was recommended as a good hookah lounge. It was agreed that all use of hookah and the accoutrements were to be removed and stopped immediately. The committee was in strong agreement that those responsible for this establishment be respectful to the spirit of Bay Ridge for the health and well-being and the maintenance of the quality of life of the tenants and neighbors, and that they must adhere to all New York State and New York City laws regarding the smoking of hookah and the sale of alcohol. So we had a pretty interesting discussion, and the committee decision was to deny this application unless the owner agrees to the following stipulations. The premise will operate as a restaurant. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol in the premise until appropriate authorization is issued by the SLA. The hours of operation will be 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Thursday through Tuesday. They will be closed on Wednesday. The doors and windows are to remain closed when the music is turned on. There will only be background recorded music, and the sound level will remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. This is so the neighbors and/or tenants will not be able to hear the music. There will be no outdoor use. There will be no music amplified on the outside of the premise. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no smoking, including hookah, permitted. There will be at least a 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. The applicant agrees, should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board and the committee at least 45 days in advance of such change. And the applicant will appear for reviews to address additional concerns as needed. And they have agreed to all of the above stipulations.
Bob,
So, what?
Barbara, I just wanted to share with you that right before the meeting, I spoke to one of the managers who sent the board office an email asking to go back to the original application hours of operation. While they believe these are the hours they're going to be operating, they want to make sure that in the event those hours change, that the original application that was filed 7 days a week from noon to 2 a.m. are put on the stipulation agreement.
That's okay with me. I mean, the committee has, the board now has to decide that. I could just change that for you.
Well, did the committee met in quorum?
Yes, they did.
Yes, okay, and there was a vote. So then this is the motion that is now currently on the floor. So then the committee's recommendation was to approve the 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. So if, just as a matter of procedure, there would be a change at the request of the applicant. I don't know if you're saying, Barbara, that you would, that you're seeking a friendly amendment maybe to the motion. Is that what you're saying maybe? And we'll
Yes, I
just
am. I'm asking for an amendment to the motion.
I thought so. I sense that. So
Yes.
the hours of operation that you're suggesting are noon until 2 a.m.
7 days a week.
7 days a week. That is Sunday through Monday. Okay. Okay. So this, do we have any discussion on this?
Lori,
Who is that? I'm sorry, I can't see.
hang on. It's me, Michael.
Oh, hi, Michael.
Hi.
Yes.
I have a problem with that. This is a restaurant and they went through a whole discussion on how they were planning to close the kitchen and be out of there by 11 o'clock, 11:30, whatever they said at the meeting. And now it's a restaurant that's going to be open till 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, what? I just don't get it. Are they planning to serve food until 2 o'clock in the morning? When do they plan to close the kitchen? There's a whole bunch of questions that go along with this, and I don't feel comfortable with it.
Okay. Let me just see, Josephine, I'm sorry, but were they, do you know whether they were, I don't see them here as participating in the meeting. So, I mean, I really think that we're at a little bit of a disadvantage if we wanted to discuss this because we don't have the applicants here. Is that right? I don't see them here.
No, I don't see them.
Okay. Okay, so do we have any other discussion, any other
We have
comments?
Steve Harrison.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think this is a bait and switch. I mean, here you give it to a committee, they determine it based upon the hours that seem reasonable, and now without having any understanding why or what happened, we're now about to vote on something that's going to allow the neighbors, okay, to enjoy their music until 3 o'clock in the, or 2, was it 2 o'clock?
2.
They're going to enjoy it till 2 o'clock in the morning, and I don't think that that's right. I think that they made an agreement and they should stick to that agreement.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Jill?
Yes, I just wanted everyone in the board to know that I had a lot of problems with the 3 people that were presenting. I did not find them to be 100% trustworthy. They say they've been in the business for 10 years, yet they said they were not aware of the rules and regulations as relates to the music, as relates to the hookah. One even said that he worked under Jean Georges restaurant, and they first said he was a 5-star Michelin star chef, but then they backtracked and said he would like to be someday.
He would like to be.
Right. And then I also said to him, well, if you worked under Jean Georges, you should most certainly know the rules and regulations when it pertains to restaurants and restrictions. So I just felt like they were not trustworthy. And now that they did backtrack till 2 a.m., I feel too that they were saying when we were having our reservations, oh no, we'll be closed, we'll do whatever you say. And we all know once liquor licenses are approved, it's very difficult to get them to be disapproved when they're not following all the stipulations. So I thought the board should know. That's just how I felt when we were interviewing them.
Thank you, Jill. Sandy, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, thanks, Lori. I definitely think this business started off on the wrong foot. There were a lot of issues that the committee had to deal with, both with the first meeting with the attorney and then with the 3 gentlemen who are opening the establishment. I am speaking in opposition of the friendly amendment. I don't think that we should allow them to stay open until 2 a.m. until we find out exactly what they're going to do and if they're going to be good neighbors. So far, I'm very suspicious of this business, and I'd like to see what they're going to do.
Okay, thank you, Sandy. Habib?
Thank you, Lori. I think we should start to deny this application, invite them for our next meeting, period. That's it. We should not even discuss this application.
Okay, Josephine, we did receive, their 30-day notice. I know that this was adjourned once. Procedurally, then the application could go before the SLA. So, I mean, normally we don't adjourn unless, we can get agreement from the applicant that they're not going to go ahead and go before the SLA and present their application, if we're requesting them to come back, but they can decline to do that. So I think procedurally, Josephine, do we have any indication from them of when this is going to be calendared?
So no, not at this point. I can tell you that it is a 500-foot hearing. So typically those applications do take a little bit longer. So if the if the board wants to consider the motion that was put forth by the committee, and then we bring it to the, as voted upon and as initially agreed upon. And if the applicant has an issue with that and he finds out about it and would like to request to come back to the board, I don't know if that would be another option.
Okay. Nick?
Yeah,
see
I
you've
think
got your hands up. Hi.
we should vote whatever was done, was presented before the committee. Anything after that is not our concern at the present.
Okay. Anne, I'm sorry, Anne, I saw your hand was up.
Yes, I would be in favor of the course of action of voting on the motion that's on the floor with the friendly amendment. And should that not be the consensus, that we return to the committee's motion.
Okay, so would that be, okay. So you're saying.
In other words,
vote on it as amended with the.
In other words, I would.
Okay.
I would vote against the friendly amendment.
Okay.
And be in favor of the original motion.
Okay.
Or I could just withdraw the motion to
the
amendment. Have the
yes.
amendment. Upon discussion, people chose not to do that, and we'll just
you can
vote upon
withdraw
it as presented.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. So, do I have any more comments?
Doris has her hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, Doris, I didn't see you. Oh, hi. Go ahead, Doris.
Doris, you're on mute.
Still on mute.
Okay, okay. A lot of serious concerns were raised. Is it possible to add, to make a friendly amendment to add a description of some of the concerns that have come up since the committee met? Or am I being too obtuse?
Yes. These were the concerns since before the committee met, from the original meeting. We met with them and they basically said they're not selling alcohol, even though, we were told they were. The music has been changed. It has gotten better. I think in the original application, it was these longer hours. And then they asked for they changed their hours because according to them, they're not even open. They're only open like 3 or 4 days a week right now. So I think that we present the stipulations the way I read it.
Okay.
And, if they're good neighbors in a few months, if they want to amend it, then we can go forward with that if they've been good neighbors, if we choose to amend it.
Thank you for the
Because
clarification.
you all know that they'll be open to 2 o'clock in the morning anyway.
Well, I did want to just make one because I was at the meeting. I just want to say that because their attorney was not there, I think one of the committee members actually pointed out to the applicant saying, look, we want to be clear with you that you understand that, you can ask for broader hours than your current operating hours, but whatever you put into these stipulations, then is the most you can operate. So, I mean, we did, explain that to them. So that's just, I just wanted everyone to know that was explained to them. Dean, I saw your hand up. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, you just threw a little curveball in there. The committee kind of, I'm not going to say suggested that, but brought that point up. They may be taking the committee's comments and say, well, we should look for the broader hours. It kind of confuses it a little bit for me in my mind. Originally, I was going to speak against it because, a phone call before our board meeting to change the hours, I think this is the first time I've heard of that. So that is a big question mark for me.
Yeah. Well, what I was pointing out was that sometimes, that they were not under any misconception that, oh, we thought, we could just put these hours, now and change it later or something like that. We specifically asked, and made it clear to them that the hours that they were then presenting, which are included in the stipulation, were in fact, all the hours that they wanted. So that was the only clarification I wanted to make. Steve, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I think that what we should do is vote on the original, but I do think that if they go up to Albany and say that, they want changed hours, there should probably be some kind of a signing statement that we accompany with our recommendation, saying that they subsequently asked for it and we did not vote on that. Okay, we'll vote because we're explicitly voting on the original here, my understanding, and rejecting what their request is. If, in other words, if we pass this, we're saying we agree to those hours, but we have to be explicit in some kind of an accompanying statement that they subsequently asked for further hours, and we rejected that.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to add to that? Does anyone? I see Dan, you're nodding your head. Do you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, I just agree with Stephen. I think we should vote on what was proposed. I understand we let them know that, if they wanted to expand the hours, they could have, but at that meeting, they didn't take it up at the meeting in front of the board. They changed their mind subsequently, but not in front of the board. Let them come back to the board if they've changed their mind, and we'll work it out then. But we can vote on what we actually had officially before us.
Okay. I would just, if I might, maybe suggest that included in, if we are going to write a letter, as Steve has suggested, and Dan, and we have support for that, that maybe we even further include, just so that the SLA knows, just, the things that had occurred prior to their application for the liquor license in terms of noise and hookah, just so that the SLA does understand that where we are coming from, that, we do have cause for concern that, we're not just being arbitrary in any way, or standing on standing on ceremony in terms of, their request, and us being rigid about the timing of that.
Absolutely, Lori.
Thank you, Steve. Sandy?
Yeah, Lori and Josephine, I want to ask you both a question. Would it be better if we voted on the friendly amendment, and let's see if it passes or we deny it, and then vote on the committee's recommendation?
The friendly amendment was withdrawn. Barbara withdrew.
Okay.
So it's not, it is not on the floor. We're just having discussion on the motion as it stood.
Very good.
And now with the suggestion, Steve's suggestion of writing a letter with my further suggestion on that. So do we have any more comments? Any questions? Oh, Sandy, is your hand still up, or do you want to speak again? Oh, okay. So then we would be voting on the motion. And do we have support for the letter as well? I see hand, just throw up a hand if anybody's in favor of it. Okay, I've got Sandy, I have Steve, I have Dean, I have Habib, I've got Judy. Okay, so I think we've definitely got a motion and a second in there. Anne, I see your hand up.
Would it not be unusual or even not recommended for us to have noted as a group, and not necessarily community board members, but of general Bay Ridge residents, that we noted that alcohol was being served, but no one called 311, no one called the liquor authority. So I feel like some of what was described in the proposed statement in the accompanying letter.
Well, there was no eyewitness that I know of.
Yeah.
We received a letter stating that they heard that it was $5 shots. And Mel Laureano, the general manager, claims that it's a song. It's a song and we were playing it. It's not real.
Well, yeah, he said that what was being played was a pre-recorded DJ set. So that was a recording
I don't
of a
believe
prior
but I was not an
DJ
eyewitness.
set, and that was that DJ. They were just playing that pre-recorded DJ set, sort of as like their playlist. So he said that there was actually no DJ announcing that in the premises, he said, and, you know, that no liquor was being served.
I just want to be cautious about what we seem to have turned a blind eye towards.
Yeah, but that was we did not actually receive a report of anyone saying that liquor was actually being served there. And that's why we're just a little cautious about that, because we also don't want to state something that we, you know, don't.
We have no actual proof of.
You have no report of it. Okay, so are we ready to call the question, which would be the committee's original motion with a letter? Yes, okay, so
I'll launch the poll. Does everyone see it?
Yes.
Can we explain exactly what we're voting for so we all do the right thing?
Okay, so we are voting to support the committee's recommendation that the liquor license, I'm going to say it the wrong way, just because it's
motion up on
more
the
easily
screen.
understood, that the liquor license will be granted only with those stipulations that are up on the screen, and that the board will write a letter stating that the applicant requested additional hours, and that, you know, that was not, they were not here to speak on it, and that we had other concerns. And so we were just voting on the original hours. So that's what we're voting on. To state it the proper way, we are voting to deny this application unless these stipulations are agreed to. The stipulations on the screen with those hours are agreed to by the applicant. And that will be sent off with a letter to the SLA. Is that clear? Did I confuse it more?
Okay, Joe? I think everyone has voted. Okay, so the motion carries. Joe, how do you vote?
I guess in favor. I'm confused, to tell you the truth, now with this letter.
Oh, okay, so you would be voting for or against the committee's motion to deny the application unless these stipulations are entered into.
That I agreed, but what's with this letter?
Okay, and
then?
then we were saying we would also send off, when we write up our vote, the information on our vote to the SLA, we would send off a letter advising them of the applicant's post, committee hearing, committee meeting, their post-committee meeting request to extend the hours, and explaining that we did not agree to vote on that because of the concerns that we have about the premises.
Okay, I'm in favor. Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Joe. I'm sorry if I made this more confusing.
Yeah, well, but I'm in favor. I'm fine now.
Thank you. And the motion carries. Okay, just for those of you, I just wanted to make a little note. For those of you who noted that our SLA applications are at a different point in our agenda now, they're at the public hearing portion. That was in response to so that we were advised that that's where they should be heard now, that there should be a public hearing on liquor license applications. So our procedure remains the same, but it's just at a different portion in our meeting, and we still do plenty of public outreach in order to meet our obligations for public hearing. Just wanted to throw that out there. Okay, now the public hearing is closed, and I will move on to my chair's report. So good evening and welcome to our January 2022 board meeting. Governor Hochul signed an extension of the remote meeting law through the end of the pandemic state of emergency, so we will continue to meet remotely for the foreseeable future. I have been speaking with Josephine to discuss possibilities to provide opportunities for the board for board members to exchange ideas and be educated and socialize a little bit remotely, because I feel we greatly benefit from an expanded exchange of ideas and camaraderie, especially for our new board members. Governor Hochul also announced support and plans for the Interborough Express, which is a passenger railway from Bay Ridge to Queens using our district's existing railways. So I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more about that in the year ahead. Coming into this year and thinking about future goals, I took time to reflect on my chairpersonship thus far. I have to admit that it has not been at all what I expected when I took on this role, and I have not accomplished what I initially conceived for this board. While most of my reports are more outward looking, I wanted to give you a glimpse into my reflections on my role as chair so far. If you know me, you would know that I would not take on a task take on the task of chair very lightly. I studied the rules and the laws, and I thought about the goals and direction for the board. And just at the time when I felt I gained purchase on my role as chair, our city went into lockdown and into a pandemic crisis from which we haven't fully yet emerged. I could never have conceived that when I was sworn in, that I would be chairing during a pandemic. I mean, who knew that was coming? All of my goals for my chairpersonship had to pivot to triage, to navigation of the ever-changing landscape of a pandemic while sharing in and enduring the grief of the many harms that this pandemic has leveled. Most of my effort as chair was suddenly usurped by trying to figure out how the board could continue to operate logistically, legally, and effectively in a manner to be impactful in a pandemic lockdown, and how to ensure that the voice of the community would be heard above the din of a pandemic, the din that was muffling the sound of the sweeping changes that are being made with unprecedented haste. A whole host of pressing issues emerged. There were government shutdowns and riots, protests, strings of emergency orders, school closures, greater joblessness, homelessness, hunger, greater hate crimes, mopeds, drag racing cars, vaccine availability and requirements, changes in streetscapes, for new zoning text amendments, feral cat colonies, rats. At times I felt like, it didn't feel like the four horsemen of the apocalypse. It felt like the whole apocalyptic cavalry plus lions and tigers and bears. And oh my, Dorothy, we were suddenly a long, long way from home. And I feel that we're really just now awakening from that strange land after that huge bump on the head. And coming back, I enter this new year with renewed optimism and energy. So while COVID threw a boomerang into my plans as chair, it's also been a catalyst, if not a catapult, of change in so many areas. And I'm looking to move from the defensive stance of merely holding the line to moving the line ahead for the benefit of the community. I'm very optimistic and excited to work with our new borough president, Antonio Reynoso. This month at his first borough board meeting, he shared his goals to engage with the community boards regarding comprehensive city planning, better technology, professional development and training, education about zoning and land use in other areas, lowering infant mortality rates, satellite offices for COVID supply distribution, and board membership, representative community demographics, and strong partnerships between the borough president and council members and their community boards. And speaking of those partnerships, I'm happy to say that we continue to enjoy a strong partnership with Councilman Brannan, with whom our district manager and I recently met to discuss our street renaming protocols to ensure a uniform and streamlined process. So to this end, the councilman's office and the board will both continue to follow the city council street renaming guidelines, with the councilman's office handling the intake of the street renaming applications, and then they'll be forwarded to us, the board, so we can continue to hold our public hearings and votes and recommendations on the renamings. So I am excited for the year to come, and I hope I can get you all excited about it as well. Respectfully submitted. And now we move on to our district manager's report. Josephine?
Thank you, Lori. So good evening, board members, and Happy New Year. I want to begin my report by saying that we're excited too about the year ahead, and there's lots of changes with our representatives on a citywide and borough-wide level, and we look forward to working with our new partners in government. To that end, the new director of the new commissioner of the Community Affairs Unit, Fred Kreisman, is an old friend who had worked for the Bloomberg administration and at that time was a director and our liaison here to Community Board 10. So we're very excited about his return and his outreach within days to all of the Brooklyn community boards and assures us that he will be, and his team, who we met tonight, Anastasia, and we're very excited about this, about the new team at CAU. So I want to begin my report with a quick update regarding Dyker Lights, as we do in the month of January. We're planning to participate in an interagency debrief meeting later this week. We did receive many calls in the week leading up to Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, which is the busiest of the season. I participated in 2 interagency calls with the Mayor's Citywide Event Coordination Management Office and Councilman Brannan's office with agencies such as the NYPD, DOT, Department of Consumer Worker Protection, the Department of Environmental Protection, and the Department of Health. The NYPD provided additional resources to the area, and DSNY added additional corner baskets along 11th and 12th Avenue from 81st to 86th Street and 10th to 86th Street. The baskets were serviced daily. We did hear from several neighbors about traffic control and vending, which are ongoing issues. Unfortunately, there was a loophole in the law that the councilman was able to get through the New York City Council, creating a vendor-free zone. Enforcement did shift from the NYPD to the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection because New York City has a rule that says disabled veterans are exempt from vendor restricted areas. Some of the companies who own the food trucks can hire a disabled veteran to sit in the truck. And last year, DEP did issue violations for loud noise and fumes from 2 specific ice cream trucks. And we're going to get a full debrief later this week, and I'll report back to you. Always looking forward to how we can improve for the residents of Dyker Heights. So I just have some agency announcements that the Department of Transportation in particular asked that we share. DOT Art invites artists and designers to propose mural designs as part of the Barrier Beautification Initiative. And in 2022, there will be up to 5 sites which will be selected as a priority for their barrier beautification locations. A commission of up to $10,000 site and design dependent will be awarded to selected artists to cover all direct project costs. This application link is available on our website. And the deadline is for submission is Sunday, February 13th. DOT, in partnership with City Cleanup Corps, is seeking trainees for its Greenway Roadways training program, which starts in March of 22 through June, and will train all aspects of plant care for those who are selected. The Roadway Plantings will take place across Brooklyn and the Bronx, and there will be 3 locations in Community District 10, which I'm really excited about. And they include the 76th Street Step Street, 84th Street at 4 Hamilton Parkway, and Dahlgren Place at 92nd Street. The Office of Cannabis Management, that's the state office, sent an invitation to our board and requested that we help spread the word about its upcoming Cannabis Conversations, a series of 11 regional discussions across the state about cannabis legalization. This is their first public outreach. The New York City Regional Conversation will take place on Wednesday, February 2nd, 2022. At 6 p.m. Links were posted in our recent e-newsletter and is also available on our website. So we ask that you help spread the word. Our next Community Board 10 meeting will take place on Monday, February 28th, right here on Zoom, so far as we know it. Thank you. Respectfully submitted.
Thanks, Josephine. And now we have our treasurer's report with Shirley Chin.
Thank you, Lori. Good evening, everyone, and Happy New Year. So CB10 Treasurer's Report as of December 31st. Total personal services is $116,378.89. Total other than personal services of $9,970.64, leaving the unencumbered budget balance of $134,869.47. Happy Lunar New Year to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. And now we move on to our committee reports, and we have our Traffic and Transportation Committee report.
Hello. So the Traffic and Transportation Committee met on January 11th. The meeting had just one major discussion. The Department of Transportation was there to present information about the neighborhood loading zones that are going to be added to Bay Ridge. Leroy Branch was there, and Matthew Russa gave a presentation, which I will summarize as best I can. I see Josephine put up the slideshow. That'll help. So the neighborhood loading zone, the goals of the neighborhood loading zone is to reduce the amount of delay and safety issues that stem from double parking by providing dedicated space for vehicles to load and unload goods and passengers, especially on residential streets. Target users, personal vehicles for quick pickup and drop off of passengers, groceries, etc. Commercial vehicles, delivery vehicles for residential and commercial delivery, taxis and for hire vehicles for passenger pickup and drop off. The current locations, there are 146 throughout the city, and they are continuing to expand throughout the 5 boroughs. There's signage and regulation. It's usually typically no parking Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is standard with slight adjustments depending on location, with pedestrian level blue sign informations with a program overview. And you can see on that slide, there's that sort of person holding the box. That's the blue sign that's at eye level site. Excuse me, following June 2021 meeting at CB10, the DOT launched a suggestion map portal on a website. They received 85 total suggestions for the NLZ portal, with most suggestions from west of 5th Avenue, both narrow corridors and busier, wider corridors with some activity. So they are trying to focus on streets that are narrow and then other streets that are busy, where there's a lot of double parking happening to help alleviate that. The DOT submitted 31 final locations in total for our area. The placements are based on community suggestion, as well as a DOT assessment. Focus on narrow streets, as well as streets with bike lanes, two-way streets that the NLZ will improve conditions of. The DOT may alter the locations based on feedback in the future. And a little bit of background, the NYC Council introduced legislation which was voted upon in November of 2021, requiring the DOT to install 500 neighborhood loading zones. So, and as to this date, there are 145. Here are some follow-up materials that were requested by the board. Also for next steps, Matthew will double check the two-way street locations and see if the NLZs are feasible on both sides. Since they had some that were across the street from each other, we thought maybe that might be a little haphazard. No parking regulations. NYC DOT's parking regulations page provides a quick overview of the difference between the signs and restrictions. It's as follows: 408A4, parking prohibited. When parking is prohibited by signs or rules, no person shall stop a vehicle, attended or unattended, except temporarily for the purpose of and while expeditiously receiving or discharging passengers or loading or unloading property to or from the curb. There was some placement criteria. Quick criteria was described in our first presentation, and this is a bit more on that. The neighborhood loading zones are recommended on corridors such as blocks consisting of large residential buildings, so apartment buildings, 15 units or more, co-ops, condos, those types of buildings. Narrow streets, such as one-way streets with less than 40 feet in length with bike lane or bus route. Two-way streets that are commonly double parked and not wide enough for vehicles to pass double parked vehicles without entering the opposite lane. Blocks consisting of mostly alternate side parking regulations. NLZs should be placed near existing commercial retailers, near the entrance of the block, and in the front entrances of large residential buildings. So That was a lot of information to take in, and we had a lot of questions and concerns. And so that meeting ended with the committee agreeing to meet again for additional discussion. So we met again on January 20th to discuss the response to the NLZ. So, and after a robust discourse with many questions, the committee recommendation is as follows. A letter be written to the NYC Department of Transportation, and so Josephine is scrolling through. I guess let me give some context. This is where some of these sites are going to be. There are 31 of them, and Josephine was very nice to provide the visuals for where they're going to be. So while I'm reading the recommendation, you guys take a look at where they're going to be. The letter will contain a list of recommendations on how the NLZ program should be rolled out in Community District 10. Specifically, NLZ should be rolled out in an incremental way to allow the community to adjust and acclimate to the program in conjunction with the criteria set by the DOT. The letter will request consideration of the following: changing the hours from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. A reduction in the number of sites, 1 loading zone per block. There are 4 locations with 2 NLZs on the same block. Consider phasing in locations over a period of several months, with 8220 Fort Hamilton Parkway as a top priority, as based by community feedback. Publicity outreach campaign to the community and delivery companies such as FedEx, UPS, etc. Improved NLZ signage. Suggest loading zone coloration painted at the curb. And request data feedback report from DOT 6 months after installation. The plan is that all 31 of these sites are going to be implemented as of February. So we felt that there was a need for there to be a little bit more of an implemental and installation of these sites. So that is the report respectfully submitted, with thanks to Josephine and Doris, as always, and everyone in the committee. January 24th, Anthony Marino, chair. We have a lot to talk about, I am sure, and to shore up these comments with this letter. Thank you, Josephine. And I apologize for my congestion.
We thank you for being here with your congestion. So you're a trooper. Okay, so discussion. Let me see if I have, do we have any questions, any comments? I see I have a hand up, Anne.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think the committee did a wonderful job on the points in their recommendations and has provided some really good guidance for us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara, you have your hand up?
You're muted.
Yeah, I look at this and I say, okay, more places not to park. And who's going to make these trucks that are making deliveries go to those spaces? I mean, especially, the Amazon trucks, they're in private cars now. They just stop wherever. And I just think it's going to be more, more spaces for us not to go into. And it's not going to do anything for the deliveries. They're not going to pay attention to it. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you, Barbara. Does anyone else have anything to say or add about the matter? I see no additional hands up. Do I have someone? Let me see. I don't see. Barbara, are you raising your hand?
No, but I could if you want.
No,
me to.
not you. I'm sorry, the other Barbara, Barbara Gerback. Barbara was, no, okay, I'm sorry. I saw you waving, wasn't sure what that was. Okay. So that's it. That's all of our discussion on this. Oh, Stephanie. Hi.
Hi. Just a clarification that these zones are not only meant for trucks, if I understood correctly, that if they're regular citizens who need to drop off and pick up, it was printed in that the parking specifications or the regulations that were read by Anthony. So I just wanted to make that clear to the rest of the board, because that was not something that I understood immediately during our first committee meeting.
Yeah, these are your friendly neighborhood loading zones for all your everyday citizens.
That's
Yes.
good to know. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Dean,
Yeah, I just want to clarify a little bit further. Passenger vehicles can't park there. You have to expeditiously, and that's the key word, expeditiously load or unload, which basically means you can't leave your car. You can't park there, walk into a doctor's office to drop somebody off and come out again. You are subject to a violation. So you can, as long as you are with your vehicle loading or unloading. Thank you.
thanks, Dean. Steve, did you have your hand up?
I did, but I took it down.
All right, you changed your mind. Okay, so if there are no other questions or comments, I will call the question on this vote. So we have our ballot up, all in favor of the committee's recommendation?
Josephine in favor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so please mark your ballot accordingly. In favor, opposed, recused, abstain.
Okay, motion carries with 32 in favor and 1 opposed.
Thank you, Josephine. Okay, and thank you very much, Anthony. Thanks for being a trooper. And now we go to our Police and Public Safety Committee informational report. And we bring back Barbara Vellucci. Come on, Barbara. You're on mute.
You know, if we met more times a month, I'd get used to this.
No, thank you.
Okay. You know, I do have a whole report, but I don't think I'm going to be reading the whole report. It's basically informational. There was a new application for restaurant wine for a restaurant known as QSWYDXHN Inc., which is doing business as Super Sushi, located at 9203 3rd Avenue. And we had a problem with it. The attorney was not present. The owner was there. And basically, we feel that he was not ready to proceed with this. He did not know enough about the State Liquor Authority and his full responsibilities. We did get I saw a report on Facebook saying, you know, bring your own booze. And he opened the restaurant because it's his girlfriend's dream. He really had a language difficulty. You know, shortly into the meeting, he brought a translator. So we asked him to please, you know, postpone his application and his sending into the application so that he can, first of all, stop any liquor being brought in and to be familiarized with the laws required and to come with an attorney and a translator from the beginning. So he was willing to do that. So Super Sushi, a very nice man, but not prepared for this right now. So he's willing to postpone his application.
Good.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much, Barbara, for that informational report. And now we move on to our Joint Youth Services, Education, Library, Zoning, and Land Use Committee reports. Yeah, so it's a mouthful. I don't know who we have. Is it Stephanie or is it Doris? Who's pitching on this?
Robert?
All right, I stepped in for Stephanie, so I am going to report on behalf of Stephanie and Doris. The Joint Youth Services, Education, Libraries, and Zoning Land Use Committee meeting took place on Wednesday, January 19th at 7 p.m. over Zoom and live streamed on YouTube. The meeting was called to order around 7 p.m. and we met in quorum. The purpose of this informational meeting was to receive an update from the School Construction Authority regarding projects currently underway within Community District 10, including but not limited to the former Angel Guardian property at 6301 12th Avenue, the future PS 676, the former Nathan's location located at 650 86th Street, the future IS 3322, 6740 3rd Avenue, the future PS 53, and the former Santander Bank property located at 8808 5th Avenue. Steve Gonzalez, representative from the School Construction Authority, reported on the following projects. PS 127 addition, which is a capacity project at 922 78th Street. The CSA is finishing up remaining items, preparing for an additional 364 seats. The future PS 53, located at 6740 3rd Avenue between 68th and Senator Streets. It's scheduled to open in September of 2024. 307 seats. It'll be a small public school. Design of the main building is close to being finalized. Bidding for the demo package of the old doctor's office has begun, and the early demo package should be complete in the next 6 to 8 weeks. The next site discussed, the future IS 322, located at the old Nathan site, 650 86th Street, scheduled to open also in September 2024. It's a 475-seat middle school with 72 District 75 seats. The contract has been awarded, and they plan to mobilize in early spring, March, April. The SCA leased the building at the former Our Lady of Guadalupe School, 1514 72nd Street. It has been leased from the Diocese of Brooklyn, as was the PS 112 annex that's currently at the Our Lady of Guadalupe site. That's 132 seats, which will all be District 75 seats, scheduled to open also in September of 2024. The next site discussed was the future PS 676, located at the former Angel Guardian home. The address is 6312 13th Avenue, not the 12th Avenue address that was originally discussed. It's scheduled to open in September of 2024, so a lot of work going on for the start of that year. 547-seat public school, and of those 547, 96 seats will be in District 75. A contractor will be mobilized in the near future. The former Santander Bank property located at 8805 5th Avenue. The school's construction authority has purchased the property. No design renderings as of yet, and the SCA hopes to begin the design soon. No occupancy or capacity is available yet. The floor was open to committee members for questions, comments, and discussion. The first question from Doris Cruz was about what is District 75? What are District 75 seats? And District 75 seats are set aside for students with special needs. There was a large request and a large push from many stakeholders for additional District 75 seats in CB10. Ann Falutico asked if the school construction authority uses the concept of saturation, taking into consideration the geographic proximity between schools when opening new schools. Mr. Gonzalez said that he could not answer the question, but he would follow up and return to the joint committee with an answer. Josephine indicated that CB10 traditionally receives a utilization report, and Steve did provide recently, earlier today, the 2019 to 2020 utilization report, which shows enrollment providing capacity percentages for all District 20 schools, including middle schools, which is an area of concern in our district. Barbara Germack raised a question about the Santander Bank location, indicating that that it's right by the post office. There's constant double parking. It's close to 2 schools already, one on 4th Avenue and 88th Street, another on 5th Avenue and 92nd Street. And were these factors taken into consideration when selecting the site? At that point, Steve Gonzalez said that District 20 is very difficult to find property and capacity for schools, and the location on 89th Street was vacant. It also includes the bank and additional buildings. It is a nice chunk of property. The real estate division is constantly looking for property, and they decided to purchase this location because of its availability. He understood Barbara's concerns, but also highlighted that there is a need for over 2,000 additional seats for students in District 20. Preston Ferraiulo asked a question in relation to IS 322, the former Nathan's location, asking that with 4 middle schools in the district with at least 1,000 seats, why does this location only have 475 seats? And Steve Gonzalez said that the property is tight as it is, and construction is restricted to 475 seats, using every portion of the property to maximize space for the middle school. Doris Cruz said that in all of our discussions, we acknowledge that there is no perfect space for a school, but this joint committee is concerned regarding the traffic and safety for our students, and not just for drop off and pickup, but for those students and families who are walking to school. Traffic and safety is a tremendous concern of ours, and she requested a discussion as soon as possible with DOT school safety representatives to review these concerns. Steve did mention some of these. He began discussing that what the plans were for drop off and pickup, and Doris reinforced that this community is a community where students and families walk to school in the morning, and reiterated that we need to take into consideration the traffic patterns outside and by these schools, including highways, major thoroughfares, and in regard to speeding. There's also a major concern at Santander Bank, given how narrow the avenue is. Our students and families must be safe, and we'd like an update from the School Construction Authority on a safety plan ASAP. Ann Falutico asked Steve Gonzalez for the opportunity for the community board and the joint committee to provide input for projects that are in preliminary design with respect to points such as safety. She also asked for follow-up regarding the School Construction Authority's use of the concept of saturation in the school site selection, and Steve said that he would follow up with us. Dean Racina suggested that the joint committee schedule a meeting with the local precinct, given the number of schools that are opening up in the next few years in our district, to meet and request additional crossing guards and safety agents, not wait until the schools open, but have some preemptive meetings that focus on that. Community member Lori Windsor asked about the Our Lady of Guadalupe site in design and what grades it will serve. That site will serve District 75 K-5 students. June Johnson said, it seems as though there are only 400 seats scheduled for middle school students, and middle school students continue to be overcrowded, but elementary schools continue to be designed. Why aren't more middle schools being opened? Steve acknowledged that it was a good question, and the plan for elementary schools was set forward by previous superintendent of District 20. He will mention a request for more middle schools in his conversations. Josephine re-emphasized the need for Steve to send us the utilization report to look at enrollments of schools within District 20. That ended the committee and community Q&A, and the meeting was adjourned. The meeting ended with a better understanding of the work being done in our district. This meeting was informational and there was no vote. We look forward to hearing from the SCA again. Respectfully submitted on behalf of Chair Stephanie Simone Mahaney, Youth Services Education Libraries Committee Chair, and Doris Cruz, Chair of the Zoning and Land Use Committee. Thank you.
Thank you
job,
very
Bob.
much, Robert. Good job. Yes, thank you very much.
Awesome job,
Okay.
Robert.
And now we are moving on to our last report of the evening's informational report, the Senior Issues, Housing, Health, and Welfare Committee report with Jana Taub.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Same
I
with
was just gonna
Alice.
say,
Yeah.
thank you so much for covering me. I couldn't attend the meeting, so Mr. Vallis actually stepped in and took my place.
okay. Okay, everybody. Jen, I hope you're feeling better. The CB10 Senior Issues Housing, Health, Welfare Committee held a meeting and met in quorum on January 5th, 2022 via Zoom at 7 p.m. Item number 1, an informational report was given regarding the Bay Ridge Center. In attendance for the Bay Ridge Center were Todd Fieldner, the Executive Director of the Bay Ridge Center, David Dring, the Director of Innovative Programs, and Kathy King, the Director of Senior Services. Mr. Fieldner, Mr. Dring, and Ms. King were pleased to share the good news with the committee that the Bay Ridge Center, presently located at 7609 3rd Avenue at the Bethlehem Lutheran Church were awarded a DFTA contract by the Department of the Aging, allowing them to expand to a new state-of-the-art center serving Bay Ridge older adults. The new additional site will be located at 15 Bay Ridge Avenue, the old MetLife building, for a lease period of 15 years with 2 floors at 20,000 square feet. Some of the rooms shall include a large multi-purpose dining room, a large exercise studio, and 8 classrooms, including a tech computer lab. The new space is currently gutted to the concrete walls. A sum of $1 million has been raised with the help of elected officials in the area. The Bay Ridge Center is seeking to raise the balance of funds from foundations, local corporations, and Bay Ridge residents. The funds raised will be used for general construction to outfit the space, for example, exercise equipment for the exercise studio. The new location can also be used by the community groups when it is not in use for the senior center. So that's possibly another meeting area when we finally get around to meeting with Community Board 10. And the target date for the opening of this location is this coming summer. So that is very good news for our senior citizens. And they're going to have a new home in addition to the one they have right now. Do we have any questions or comments regarding item number 1?
I have a question.
Yes.
Will their food program be run out of Bethlehem Lutheran or the new center? Or don't we know?
Doris, I didn't hear you.
Where will their food program there? They do like 700 meals a month. Will it be run out of the original?
They will hold on to the Bethlehem Church, Lutheran Church, and do the cooking from there, but they will be bringing it to the new location.
Thank you.
All right, Steve?
Yes, Andy, just what's the address again?
The address is 15 Bay Ridge Avenue. It's the old MetLife building.
Got it. Now I know it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? I don't see anybody else. Okay. Moving on to item number 2. An informational report was given regarding the Hope Count 2022. During the annual homeless outreach population estimate, which is HOPE, teams of volunteers canvassed the selected areas of the city and the count of the numbers of individuals sleeping on the streets and other public spaces, including the subways. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, HOPE 22 will not be using volunteers this year, but it will be conducted by the city staff and outreach teams. All of those who have registered to volunteer will be notified via email, and they will continue to do the work of, unfortunately, getting a count on exactly how many people are sleeping in the streets and subways and have nowhere else to go. We had a good report for item number 1 and a little bit of a sad one for item number 2. Anyway, that's my report, respectfully submitted. If there are any questions or comments.
No, thank you very much, Sandy. Thank you very much. Okay, and now we have concluded our committee reports and we move on to any unfinished or old business, which we did not have on the agenda, and any new business. Any new business? I see Habib, you have your hand up?
Yeah, you're on mute, Habib.
Am I still? No.
No, now
There
you
you are.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It's a great pleasure to have you. Just a small announcement. The Arab American Association is giving away the home test, COVID test. If anybody's interested, it's available. Just make a phone call, come in and pick up. We give 4 to every family.
Great, thank you so much. Barbara, see you've got your hand up. You're on mute.
Hello. I don't know why.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Josephine, is there any updates as to in traffic enforcement? You know, scooters, double parking. I bring this up. The other day, I'm driving down 75th Street, going, toward your office from 10th Avenue. Man makes nice, quiet, saying, "Oh, not even a lot of traffic today." Man makes a U-turn right into me. I mean, people are just crazy with the cars, and you never see anybody getting tickets or anything. So please, Josephine, is there any way we can, ask for more cars or something? Help.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will tell you that Officer Ingebretson is on the line, and we have asked. We've, the precinct commander has said that they do issue summonses and are out there, but we will certainly bring that to him again and maybe get a little bit more information with locations that can help.
Okay. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks, Joe. Jill, you had your hand up? You changed your mind?
Well, I did have a conversation with Josephine very recently about, I feel Bay Ridge is like the land of no enforcement when it comes to Department of Sanitation, Department of Parks, ticketing, and it's frustrating. I don't understand it, and it's not sure how to rectify it. So I was asking her if maybe she can come up with something with you, Lori, and if you could reach out to these departments and tell them our frustration, in this community.
Yes, well, that's what we're here to do. We are here to liaise with our city agencies, and Josephine can reach out to the agencies. I guess you discussed with her, as she mentioned. Frank Ingebretson from the 68th precinct, our liaison, is here, so he's hearing all of this. Hopefully, that'll be noted and brought to the attention for some action. Dean, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, I think it's also important that our electeds reach out to the agencies because they speak with a big voice. So they should be on board with us reaching out to the agencies that we're talking about.
Okay, thank you, Dean. Asa?
Hi, thank you. So I just wanted to, bring to your attention that a few weeks ago, we had a lot of the benches on Fifth Avenue vandalized. A lot of those benches were the benches that had artwork on it, particular artwork, which was very beautiful on all across Fifth Avenue. And it was reported, but I think the uncivilized individuals are increasing, I think, in Bay Ridge. I've seen it more and more happening, and I feel it's gotten worse, somewhat better, but also gotten worse. I don't want to sound too negative. Also, with regards to street peddlers, there's more of street peddlers of those individuals who are setting up shop, you can say, or tables and tents on the avenue and selling products or taking information of individuals to receive certain small gifts, health insurance, etc. These individuals should be getting licenses or permits to set up on the sidewalks like that. They just continue to do so without any of those requirements. I've contacted DOT or 311. Doesn't seem like any enforcement is being done or taken care of with regards to that. Just wanted to mention those two things.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And, Josephine, if we can reach out about that possibly. I know street vendor enforcement is a sticky spider web to go walking through sometimes. But, if we can reach out to the agencies and get, notes on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jill, is your hand up again, or is that still?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go
There's
ahead.
one other thing I wanted to mention. Josephine and I were talking about it, and she said she did speak with you about it. As far as being on the police and public safety, I have a lot of issue with with the way there are no easements and back exits to a lot of the restaurants and bars that we have to vote on. And I know that it's part of a buildings department and safety regulations. And I feel that a lot of those regulations are outdated, and our hands are tied because we have to go according to what the regulations are. But I think they need to reevaluate and look at some of these establishments that are asking to open up bars, restaurants without any back exits whatsoever. And I think it's a fire hazard. And I know that these, you know, I know that we're voting on what is already in place, but is there any way that we could reevaluate what some of these regulations are?
Well, I think what you're speaking to, and what Josephine and I have discussed, because it has come up a number of times, I mean, just really throughout the years, when we hear the Police and Public Safety Committee hears applications for liquor licenses. So when we're hearing those applications, you know, I'm just explaining your comment a little bit for maybe some people who aren't on that committee, or when we hear those applications, what we're weighing in on is whether or not a liquor license should be granted to any given establishment. And, you know, in part of that, they give us like their floor plan and the information, you know, about the seating and everything like that. So oftentimes the committee is going to see a situation where, you know, there may be two entrances in front. That's not really something that, when we're giving our vote, being our recommendation or our input to the SLA, that the SLA necessarily looks for. There are sort of areas that they look at. There is a sort of catch-all area that the SLA looks at with regard to an applicant, which is sort of like compliance with, you know, all the other laws. And I will say, in my experience, just from a practical matter, it's sort of a lesser category in terms of their decision to weigh in. But that issue has come up, and truthfully, you know, it's a question, as you said, Jill, of whether or not that is complying with the building codes of the city of New York. And that's really something that's within the purview of the Department of Buildings. And I know what you're talking about. Oftentimes there's an entrance in the front and there's no entrance out the back on a pretty small premises. And you look at it and say, well, you know, most people think, doesn't there need to be two means of egress? You know, and then, but somehow this place has gotten its CO or its letter of no objection from the Department of Buildings, and I won't pretend to know all the regulations. So, I mean, that's something that I think would be a huge undertaking for us to revisit the Department of Buildings building code. But I do think, I don't know if Frank Bantan is still on this call. And I don't really know enough about it. Maybe some of our other people on the board, and maybe like Ann Flutico, who happens to be an architect, bring more educated discussion to the table. Ann, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, there are several criteria for the trigger, the necessity for two exits, such as distance to the exit. But the overriding one, the most obvious one, is the number of persons. And the number of persons that automatically requires two exits is 75, which makes it not accidental that even tonight, one of the Liquor Authority applications cited that they had 74 people. So this is not an accidental number. People try to play their cards below 75 people. For fewer than 75.
Josephine, I'm sorry, this is Frank Fontana. We can certainly have another discussion. You know, we could follow up on this topic and have a discussion on it.
Okay. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, because it has come up a number of times. And just one thing that pops into my mind is, you know, normally oftentimes there's a certificate of occupancy that's issued by the city, and it says how many people that you're allowed to have on it. But then in a situation with a letter of no objection, when, as Ann is mentioning, you know, where the applicant is saying, we won't have more than X people, you know, is that you know, I don't really know how that works. You know, does the applicant get to just say, oh, we're not going to have this many people, so we don't really need another means of egress? You know, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, Laura, just to be clear, I wasn't saying anything about letter of no objection, but oftentimes the certificate of occupancies are sought to be specifically below 75. There are, but the Department of Buildings also has a square footage per person. So it's not just what you declare the occupancy to be, but it's also based on the floor area.
Okay.
And then it could also, I'm sorry, John, but then it could also become an enforcement issue. So if they write one thing on the application, have to abide by those regulations, and then they exceed that, then it can become an enforcement issue where buildings, you know, we inspect it, you know, if someone reports 301, inspect and go out there, and, you know, if that's the case, and then we can issue a violation for it. But yeah, so like I said, we can sort of have a little discussion about it and bring it up to the borough commissioner.
Yeah, that would be great, even if we can do that at the committee level, because there has been a lot of questions and a lot of discussion around that. That would be great. Okay. Thank you. Do we, and thank you, Jill and Ann. Do we have any more new business? Okay, we don't. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Lots of
We have
hands.
lots of
Yes.
motions, lots of seconds. Okay, everyone, thank you so much. Have a great night. Thank you for a great meeting and for coming, caring enough to show up. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Good night, everybody. Good
Good night,
night.